You're watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back to Morning at NTV, and thank you for staying with us. Let's get into our first conversation of the day. Now, one of the proposals in the budget that will be read today by the Minister of Finance, Matia Kasaija, on behalf of the President, include a proposal to scrap value-added tax on dairy products. To speak to us about this, we have Mr. B. Joy Verghese, the General Manager of Pearl Dairies, who joins me right now online. A very good morning, Mr. B. Joy Verghese. Thank you for joining us on Morning at NTV.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me.
First of all, Mr. Bijoy, what does this proposal to scrap value-added tax mean to you as a person in the dairy business?
You see, as Lato Milk, we see this proposed move to remove VAT on processed product as a great incentive from the government of Uganda to increase the production of pasteurized milk. In our case, it's pasteurized milk. In some other scenarios, there are other products, and which will facilitate the value addition in support of the principles set out by BUPU. So, from our perspective, it is a great move. It is going to create demand within Uganda, which is very much required. As you know, we are having market access challenges for the last 6 months or so, especially within EAC, and considering our sector is running at a capacity of, let's say, 25 to 30%, this VAT concession will help push up the farm gate price, first of all, and enable dairy farmers to benefit from higher income due to the increased production of pasteurized milk. So, to put it into perspective, what it means to the farmer is that if you benchmark 2020 versus 2019, and we as a sector, we see that actually the payments to the farmers are going to reduce by around 250 billion shilling or so. And therefore, this move will greatly enhance to ease that pain a bit. And of course, from a milk consumer perspective, the consumption of raw milk, as you know, is gives numerous infections, and whether you overboil it or underboil it, the nutrients value in the milk goes away. So it is very important that the access to affordable pasteurized milk is available for our consumers, and this move will greatly move towards that. Milk being a daily diet of ours, which gives you numerous values like calcium, protein, iodine, potassium, phosphorus, vitamin B2 and B12. The young and the pregnant mothers must have access to an affordable pasteurized milk. So we are thankful. We hope this proposal goes through. So great move.
And of course, it will go through, Mr. Bijoy. Let's talk about the impact of the same move. What impact do you think it will have on your dairy business in terms of capacity?
Of course, you see, from a market perspective, you know that our market is not, you cannot equate Ugandan market to export market, but of course, it will enhance the capacity in terms of, because the processors will be buying more milk, driven by the fact that the end consumer has got an affordable product in their hands. We can also compete with the informal market. So therefore, the capacity utilization is going to go up, without a doubt.
Is the dairy industry prepared to take on the benefits that will come out of the tax measures that have been put forth, Mr. Bijoy?
Of course we are ready, but you see the perception needs to change first. The perception that pasteurized milk is filled with preservatives, XYZ needs to change. So the immediate effect, we need to see how the consumer behavior is going to change. And we as a sector, we will try to educate the consumers also. And once we are there, of course, the benefit will be shared by everybody.
What will you do with the extra money that comes out of this whole venture?
Sorry?
What will you do with the extra money that will come out of this tax measure?
You see, VAT is actually is a value-added tax. So what is going to happen is that actually the end price to the consumer is going to reduce, and therefore the affordability is going to increase, therefore pushing up the volume demand, and hence the entire value chain is going to benefit from the farmers all the way up to the end consumer.
What does the dairy industry need moving forward to boost your capacity and production?
Once again, you see the if you look at 2019 as dairy sector, we brought in upwards of $150 million from export earnings,
Yes.
from a sector perspective. And you know, I'm sure you are aware that actually we are facing issues with Kenya, issues with Tanzania, other borders also. Therefore, what happened was, effective 1st January of this year, the export market within EAC have practically collapsed. And now, taking into account the COVID effect and the international price movement of the products, so getting access to other markets is becoming tricky day by day, although we are trying our level best. So for us, our only plea at this present at the present moment is that actually we need to have EAC working together. We need to have access to those markets.
And of course, Mr. Bijoy, the government is creating a special liquidity facility to rescue businesses that might have had reduced operational costs because of the low capacity of staff and also the problems that have come forth as a result of the pandemic. Do you think these measures that are being set forth by the government are enough for you to move forward and cushion the impact of the pandemic?
First of all, from a liquidity perspective, I think that's a great move, provided those funds are utilized in a manner at which the effect is seen at the farm gate price, at the farm level, at the farmer level. Therefore, as His Excellency always says, in my perspective, that liquidity must be used for value addition. And with the support of government, and if we can open up a couple of more markets for Ugandan processed products, I think that is what our concentration needs to go now, which will reduce our dependency on borrowing for foreign currencies, which will enhance the entire value chain from the farm gate to all the way up to the end consumers. Therefore, I believe the measures set out by the government is going to a certain level, but we also have to try. We cannot entirely depend on government to do this.
Let's talk about the business environment. How best can we create a conducive environment where people in the dairy business can do business very well with the government without any problems? How can we create a conducive environment where you can work together to grow the industry?
You see, there are very many forums which are already established, within which government takes feedback from various bodies and act upon those measures. And with this COVID in play, in my opinion, that cooperation has developed substantively. And you will see going forward more and more business-friendly measures will be coming through, either through at the ministerial level or at the various agencies level. We are, in my opinion, we are in the right track.
And Mr. Bijoy, finally, before I let you go, what, besides the tax measures, what else do you need government to do for you to move forward?
Let me reiterate, at this present moment, from a dairy perspective, what we need is EAC opening up the border. For example, Tanzania put in a 2,000 Tanzanian shilling per liter levy. Now Kenya is blocking our dairy products to crossing over to their territory. We need that EAC framework to work much better. Therefore, you know, if you have a product in Uganda, it should be in a position to cross to Kenya and Tanzania. If you have a product in Kenya, it should be in a position to come to Uganda and go to Tanzania. And at the end of the day, the end consumer will benefit, driven by the fact that when you encourage competition, the quality increases, the price comes down, and the end consumer wins.
Mr. Bijoy, what if these East African countries to decide to keep their borders shut, like Kenya and Tanzania? What would be your immediate disruptive business plan to circumvent that problem so that you continue doing your business?
If you analyze the sectors, what you would see that within EAC, when you have competitive products sitting both in, say, for example, in Uganda and in Kenya, you are competing with the same sectors. There you are having issues. So we need to, as a business community, we need to identify those sections which are perhaps not competing each other and diversify the business.
Mr. Bijoy, your final words of advice to everyone who wants to engage in the dairy industry in that regard.
It's a great industry, provided we need to have the right technology and the right people in.
And speaking of technological advancements, I understand a lot is changing, remote working, reduced capacity. How are you going to navigate that? The new normal, is it going to proceed until 2021, or do you emphasize that maybe in the near future we might have normalized operations where you have the same number of people you used to have before at the office or at the firm?
Yes, when the COVID measures came through, we immediately moved towards working from home to be in line with the government regulations. We believe that actually it is going to be the norm for at least the next 12 to 18 months or so, because at the end of the day, your employees' health comes first. So this is going to be here. We need to put measures in place, mechanisms in place, technologies in place, so that our work continues as is. But in some areas you find difficulties in, especially in manufacturing and all that, you will find a little bit of difficulty. But I'm 100% sure over time we are going to overcome that, and this is going to be here to stay.
And of course, Mr. Bijoy, now the conversation here in Uganda relates to people who are in the manufacturing business to be helped by the citizens in the country by buying your goods under the BUBU policy, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But then we have people who are actually opting to still import goods from outside countries because they are not at par with the quality. Are you able to take on the challenge of coming up with this quality merchandise so that the people don't opt for this foreign market?
I don't know whether you are a Lato customer or consumer or not, but one thing I can guarantee you is actually our product is not inferior to any other international brands that you find.
Yes.
And that is why earlier I mentioned dairy sector, dairy business is a good one, but provided you have the right set of people and the right technology. You see, not only our product, there are other products which are manufactured in Uganda, which is either at par or even higher than that of the imported products. But again, what we need to happen is that we need to have that mentality change from, if something is manufactured in Uganda, it is inferior. No, we need to come out of that thought process so that the market within opens up and more value addition happens, and it gives encouragement to the businessmen to invent more, come up with new innovative products, and move on to newer and newer technology so that we can compete in the international market.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Bijoy Verghese, for that wonderful submission. Mr. Bijoy Verghese is the general manager of Pearl Diaries right there. The issue of quality has been taking center stage right here in Uganda. Why? Because you have so many people that have had that excuse. Who have that excuse that they are actually importing goods from outside countries, saying that the goods manufactured locally are not at par with the quality. But the president said, no, that excuse has to be done away with. We have to support our manufacturers and our business people in Uganda under the Build Uganda, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, BUBU. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with more information right here on Morning at NTV.